This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
I'm super excited today that I've got Craig McGuigan here from Kidz Need Dadz. We're going to have an awesome korero around what kind of work he is doing in this awesome field.
Thanks for joining us for Being Real Parents with me, Anna, and my colleague and buddy,
Kate. We work in the parenting space.
And it's here where we'll talk about our worlds as parents, the good, the not so good, and the hilarious, and mix this with what we know about behaviour and psychology.
Hey Craig, so nice to have you here with me today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah, I'm so excited to learn more about Kidz Need Dadz. I don't really know very much at all, so I'm really looking forward to you filling me in.
Sure, cool. So we're fairly new to Christchurch as well, which is probably why local people haven't heard of us. We were here, I think, about 3 years ago.
Right.
So we've been around for 25 years throughout New Zealand.
Right.
So we started in Tauranga, and we've been... I think we were originally called the Union of Fathers. I think it's our 25th anniversary this year.
Wow.
So we started in Tauranga and then Wellington. We've had a presence in Auckland, Rotorua, and Christchurch. So, like I said, we were in Christchurch, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago, and then we fell away. And then I was employed nearly 2 years ago to get Christchurch back up and running. So
awesome.
So since then, and I'm now not the titles matter, but I'm the acting general manager for the country. So
awesome.
We're not a huge team. I think we've got about six FTE, about seven head count across New Zealand, and some casual stuff as well. So we're not insignificant, but we're hoping to grow, of course, but based in Christchurch. There's 3 of us in Christchurch.
Awesome. No, that's so good to know. So can you tell me a little bit about your mahi?
Sure. So I guess casting back, like I said, we're 25 years old, so we started off probably more as a back when the family court was probably not quite seen as quite a nice place, and there was a lot more friction and tension. So we were probably back in those days. We were probably, even though we did some really really good work, we were perhaps a little bit more political as well, and trying to make some headway for particularly men in that space, have their voice heard, and get some equity in times when things were seen to be pretty tough going for fathers. So I think we've evolved a lot since then. So if you fast forward to today, we sort of talk about ourselves as being the organisation where we want men to be the best fathers they can be. So giving them that opportunity to do that. So we do lots and lots of different things, primarily around supporting men through the family court. So some advocacy as far as that's concerned. But a lot more of our work now is alongside working with lawyers. So invariably, if people can get legal aid, or if they can afford to get a lawyer, we'll encourage them to get a lawyer, and then we can walk alongside them through that journey.
Cool.
So a lot of that stuff, but a lot more stuff too around working with auranga tamariki. So when children are perhaps stuck in that system, mum and dad are sometimes mum and dad, sometimes just dad, sometimes mum, but working with them to make sure that they've got a voice and they're able to navigate their way through that process as well.
Yeah, cool.
So those are probably the key things which we've always done, but a lot more in the education space now as well.
Yeah.
So we've got some self-study programs around we call Discovering Fatherhood, which is a parenting program.
Cool.
Paper-based, so a lot of that goes into the prison, so that's really valuable. So it means that the men and women inside the prison can complete those programs, send them back to us and get a certificate and support letter. So an anger management program as well.
Yeah.
And we're also about to kick off our own version of Parenting Through Separation, which is going to be an online course, a 4-week online course, which is
amazing.
Yeah, so lots of cool stuff like that.
Yeah. Such important work. Hey,
absolutely.
That stuff is amazing that it's available there. Yeah, so I'd love to hear more about the kind of the programs that you've got. So you said they're paper based, so
so deliberately so, and I think that's because they've historically gone into the prisons.
Yeah.
So So we work with case managers inside the prison, a lot through Spring Hill, but most of the prisons. But we got some real strong relationships through Spring Hill and Waikeria. But most of the prisons we've got a relationship with, and so we were able to communicate with the prisoners and send those courses through in paper base. They're able to complete them, send them back to us, mark them. So so and it's an area for us. It's not funded, so it's something which we're hoping in time we can get some funding for, but nevertheless it's really important. So, and we extend it into the community as well. So we have people in the community do those programs as well. So at some point we may look to, perhaps move those programs to an online version as well, but they work really well for us at the moment, basically because we're able to capture those people that are inside, and that obviously develops a relationship with those dads. And then when they come out, of course, we're able to, if there's other work we can do around that reconnection, then we're available to them as well. So that's really exciting. Yeah, cool. And super excited about this program, which actually launches on Monday. It's called Stepping Stones, which is, as I said, is our own version of, you might be familiar with parenting through separation, which is often the court requires mum and dad to do that when they've entered the family court process. So we've just seen a need for something a little bit more, probably to deal with people's emotions in a better way. Particularly with our clients, but we've opened it up as well. So, and we'll roll that program through over 4-week cycles and have people come in and complete that. So that's really cool. Just trying to give people some tools to as they navigate their way through that family court process. So what we see, I think, is this: there's a gap in people managing their emotions as much as anything else. Yeah. So working with them, to perhaps give them some of those tools and give them a bit of hope as well. So it's exciting. Cool.
What important, amazing mahi. That's
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. I guess the other thing to mention is we're working with more mums now as well. So the Kidz Need Dadz name is sometimes it probably gets a little bit of people raise their eyes a bit and have their own views as to what the name might mean. But we're all about the children. And so we're working with more and more mums. I think we'd be well over 10% mums that we're working with now. And a lot of those people come to us because, there's a perception that there's lots of support out there for mums, but I think when they're stuck in the process of trying to, reconnect with their children, there's probably not as much help as what people would think. So they hear about some of the successes we've had and, they latch onto that, and we're happy to support mums as well. So, that's really important for us.
Yeah, that's great to know.
Yeah.
You're listening to Being Real Parents with Kate and Anna on Plains FM 96.9. Wow, so it sounds like you're doing all kinds of things, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's a lot of variety. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and great that you are working with mums as well. How's that feeling for you guys?
I think it's to be fair, it's probably a little bit of a shock in inverted commas for some of my more established colleagues in the North Island. Yeah, it's probably something which we haven't actively sought in the past. And it's not like we go out now and we say, we're advertising saying if mums need support through this process, but it's a word of mouth service, Organically it grows because people hear that you do some good stuff and you're able to provide that level of support. Nice. And I think in lots of cases it's just having people need a bit of hope, and they come to you because they don't feel well supported for whatever reason, and that's as I said, typically often through that Aranga Tamariki process, where they're stuck in that FGC, their family group conference cycle, and they haven't necessarily got the family support or the other agency support. So they're looking for somebody to perhaps, hold their hand through that. And we try to have a really positive relationship with whoever we work with, whether it be the social workers or whether it be the family court lawyers or lawyer for child, whoever it might be. But what we're all about is holding people to account in a positive way. So making sure that if they give people things that they need to do and they say, right, if you do these 6 things, then, you can go to the next stage. Well, actually making sure that, when they've done those 6 things, someone's asking the question, well, okay, now why am I not allowed to move to unsupervised visits with my child? So I think it's that advocacy that perhaps is, not always there. And I don't say that disrespectfully, but I think sometimes, social workers, probably because their caseloads, there's so much going on that they perhaps don't look at the obvious. So I think if someone's, everybody needs support, right?
Yeah, totally.
So if they've got that advocacy alongside them, then I think that's a really important part of holding people to account. Yeah. But we're not into mindless scrapping, We're there to move things forward, and the focus is on the children, It's about safety for the children ultimately. So, but it's also about people saying or doing what they doing what they said they were going to do.
Yeah, nice.
So that's an important part of that sort of thing. So I think it's probably a little bit of a change for us, and I'm sure that we'll continue to work mostly with dads.
Yeah.
But I talk to the team about, we don't say no. We always say yes, and we might not be the agency to be able to provide the support, but if we're not, we'll find the agency or the people that are there to hold the support, because we all know if we go and knock on a door and someone says no, that maybe that we won't knock on the next door, So,
yeah, totally.
So that's really, really important for us, is that we're able to, give them some hope and make sure that, they've got the opportunity to get that support they need.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And I love that you've obviously, talked about the fact that actually it's all about the tamariki really at the end of the day, and making sure they're safe. That's why we're, going through these processes.
That's right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So we often draw, we draw a circle on the board, and we'll put the name of the children in the middle, and we say, as long as we focus on that, and we talk about Esme, because Esme was the very first little girl that I supported, that she was and we write Esme on the board, and we draw a circle around her, and as long as our support is all in line with what, focused on Esme, we're going to be fine. Yeah, nice.
And finding whatever supports are necessary for mum or dad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're not necessarily the organisation to do it all. So, So I think a lot of times in the past we were, people were self-representing through that process, and we were supporting them to self-represent. So my view now is that if somebody can get a lawyer through this process, they should get a lawyer, because we can do our best work when we walk alongside them, and we work positively with that lawyer as well through that process. So legal aid is a bit of a challenge, though, in our sector. Essentially, if you're, we won't put numbers on it, but if you're earning a decent living, and you're probably getting legal aid is going to be challenging. So that is this for some people. And in this current climate where people are probably struggling to put petrol on the car and put food on the table, they perhaps still can't get legal aid. So that's a bit of a challenge. So we do help those people to self-represent if need be, which is important as well. It means they don't need to go along to court alone. So which is can be pretty daunting for them as well. So. Yeah.
Wow, it feels like you guys are covering all avenues. Hey?
there's a bit there, I think so. But that said, I think it is, it's often quite specific as well in terms of, and it's probably sum it up in a word, it'd be connection, or reconnection often, whereas that if connection's been lost for mum and dad, or mum for both, we're about trying to restore that connection in a positive way. So yeah.
And there's obviously a need, you're talking about this.
Absolutely. Yeah, so there's I don't know if you're aware of that, there's the kaiarahi function that sits within the family courts now. So the recent family court reforms established which is like a navigator within the family court to try and help people that are struggling. So we sort of see ourselves as being the kaiharis outside of the system. So we sit outside, and we work closely with those guys as well. But where people are struggling, we're effectively trying to navigate them through that system. So that is good. Obviously, the challenge for us is that we don't have government funding. So we struggle as far as trying to make sure that we're able to provide that role within our means as well. But essentially, that's what it's all about. So
Yeah. And do people come directly to you themselves?
Yeah. I'd say most of it now is word of mouth. Referrals from directly from lawyers. So where people have got a lawyer, but they feel as though they need some more support around whether it be their emotions or some extra education, or so they'll come directly to us through that route. So the kaiharis, social workers, we're through Oranga Tamariki. We have an 0800 number, 0800 KND 123, so people can phone up that, our website, just a variety. But I think more and more of it is just word of mouth. So people I had a girl phone me yesterday and say, my friend told me you won against OT, can you help me?
Right.
It's like, it's not about winning, but that's so that's those sort of people that they've heard good things, and we're able to kind of help them or point them in the right direction. So
need some support.
Yeah. The other thing I haven't talked about is the supervised contact. So often through the family court, with something hasn't gone quite so well, mum or dad will be subjected to, they'll have to have supervision when they have access to their children. So we've got a thriving in Tauranga, we've got a service that provides that. that we're part of that process where those people are funded through the Ministry of Justice. So, and that's a really important service as well to make sure that mum and dad can see their children. But more and more in Christchurch, because, or probably in other centres as well, but because the funding model is so tight, it means that there's often not enough funding to provide enough sessions, or there might not be any funding at all. We charitably step in and we just provide that service, which means really important because it means that mum and dad can have supervised contact with their children in the meantime. And that, obviously that's really important, but it also perhaps hastens the speed in which they're seen to be, safe as far as having contact with their children. So those are really important things as well.
Yeah, totally. So if someone was struggling to find someone to provide that supervised contact, they could totally get in touch with you.
Yeah. And we have a limitation on our resources, but we're all about trying to get that up and running as quickly as possible, because obviously any delay in that contact falling away between mum and dad and the children is really critical. So that's a really important part of what we do. So it probably exposes another gap in the system, where if that supervision is required and there is no funding, it's so someone the other day was quoted it was over $300 for 2.5 hours to be able for someone to provide that level of contact, and most people don't have that money to pay once, let alone once a week or however they want to have that contact. So it's probably prohibitive for most people. So we do our best to try and at least provide that contact in the meantime while something else can be arranged and while that process is ongoing. So so that's really, really important, and that's something tangible you can sort of see yourself contributing towards it. So very rewarding.
Yeah,
so
nice. Yeah. So how often, how long would you usually be involved with the parent for? Obviously depending on what service you're supporting them with.
I mean, sometimes people can be going through this process for years. But I think typically it would probably be anywhere from a month right through to perhaps 18 months, depending on the nature of the process. But we tend to hold on to people because we'll support them in different ways as well. So the support might start off as getting them a lawyer, and then it might be walking them through the process, but then it might be afterwards it might just be some ongoing mentoring and support as well. So it could be but I mean our view would be we don't really want these people to have to go through the family court process in the first place. If we can sort of direct them towards mediation or trying to have what we call, where they have roundtable meetings with the lawyers which happen outside of the court, that's a better scenario for everybody as well, because it's quicker, it's cheaper, and it's trying to come up with an outcome sooner rather than later. But it really varies. But it's tragic. There's some families that'll be stuck in the family court for right up until the children turn 16. So just because and that's I'm not zero judgment from me, but I don't think there's any winners of that.
That's just hard on everyone.
Absolutely, it's just a real big drain. So but I think we've got a role there in terms of being able to support their emotions through that process as well. So I like to think if we're involved that it would diminish the time. Very hard to measure, of course.
Of course. And when you say you go on to mentor them, is that supporting them to stay connected with their kids?
It could be in any one of a number of things. It could just be like a weekly check-in around, because people often get carried away and it's just incredible emotions at play. So they're picking up the phone and saying, I'm really struggling with this. Can we have a conversation? And, there's no magic involved, but I think, I often talk to people and I say that sometimes the 15-minute conversation you have with someone and you give them a bit of clarity and a bit of hope, then, sometimes that can be just as powerful as them doing a, 12-week parenting program, because it just gives them a bit of perspective, and they know they can pick up the phone as well. So I think that's really, really important, that mentoring or, support model. So it can look like anything. Absolutely. But cool.
And what would you say to a dad or even a mum? Sounds like that's the mahi that you're doing now. What would you say about as far as connecting with their kids if they are really struggling through the family court process or not seeing them or however that looks? I mean, just reach out. Reach out to us. But really interesting scenarios recently. We've had people that have been, separated from their kids. And as the children get older, it often gets harder because, the children's voice is really important. But we were working with a guy recently and I suggested that he just, there was no protection orders or anything in place, but he was just struggling to know what to do. So I suggested he just
write a card, send a card.
Yeah, nice.
You know, and he sent a card, he sent a second card, bumped into him last week, and he said now he's actually meeting with his daughter again, I think it's 15-year-old daughter. So it's just, that's really, really simple, you know. I mean, it's just trying to open up some sort of dialogue, you know, and every situation will be different, but, you know, and usually you'll find, you know, in most cases, mum will be supportive as well, you know. There might have been a messy breakup and things might not have been so good, but I think as time goes on and things start to mend a little bit, you know, often there'll be support from both sides. So, so it could be something as simple as that, you know, reaching out, trying to find, you know, somebody else to perhaps mediate, or trying to find a common interest, but I think not giving up, you know,
nice.
Just, having a crack, you know, but surrounding yourself with support, talking about it with other people. So,
nice. And that sounds like, you know, getting a wee bit creative maybe about how
absolutely.
you do reach out.
For sure.
And also maybe giving that space too, hey?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we often talk about that. We say, you know, sometimes we talk about a tactical retreat where you back off for a while, you know, and you start to, you take care of yourself, you focus on yourself for a while, you get yourself to be in that best possible position you can be in terms of your own health and well-being, and then, you know, you go back and, you know, and you try and reconnect in other types of ways and stuff like that. You know, at the end of the day, all the court orders in the world might say whatever they say, but if the children are at the point as they get older where they say, look, I don't want to have anything to do with you, it's not going to help anyway. So, so we just need to take a bit of stock and reflect and go back in a more measured way. So.
Yeah, nice. And maybe when some of that heat's died out a little bit.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And obviously we don't have control over what our children are being told from different people.
No,
and
that's always an issue as well. And we talk about that, but we also say, you know, you have no control over that yourself, you know, so you might start to, invariably people worry about things like, oh, you know, she's got a new partner and she's telling the kids this and the kids are doing that, and what's she feeding the kids, and I say, look, you have no control over that stuff. You've got to assume that, and I always usually ask the question, is she a good mum? Say, yeah, she's a really good mum. Or is he a good dad? Yep, he's a really good dad. So therefore, you know, why are you worried about this stuff? Because you have no control over it anyway. You focus on what you can actually control, and it's, you know, it sounds kind of bit airy-fairy, but it's actually really powerful. You know, if you can, once you start focusing on you, and, you know, we talk about the ripple effect, that's rippling out to those people around you in the community and stuff, it's really, really powerful. And things invariably improve. They certainly improve for your mindset, because you're not worried about stuff you can't control anymore. So,
And this stuff's so true and important for whether you mum or dad.
Absolutely,
hey?
absolutely.
This
it doesn't make any difference. And it's the sort of stuff that's going to flow down to our children as well. So, and grandparents are the same, you know. People often don't think about grandparents in these situations. They're often the people we don't think about, because they, you know, if something goes down and all of a sudden mum or dad aren't seeing the kids, so often that side gets blocked out as well. And that grandparent-grandchild relationship is absolutely special. It needs to be nurtured. So we don't think about that. So we need to kind of, make sure that we're, focus on keeping that that connection as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Thanks, Craig. It's been so awesome having you here today. We'd love to hear your 3 top tips.
Nice.
Yeah.
My life hacks.
Yeah, your life hacks.
Yeah, I've given this some thought on the way in.
Nice.
Just thought about, being intentional. So, and I talk about that from the point of view of when we spend time with our children. I actually hark back to when it's probably my relationship with my father, who I probably didn't have a wonderful relationship with, but kind of reconnected in his latter years. And I decided to actually be intentional with my time that I was going to spend with him. Awesome. When I say intentional, I mean, actually spending being intentional in terms of what you're going to do and actually doing it, And the other reason I talk about that is I see these people that people often don't want to do supervised contact. They say, I'm not doing supervised contact. That's terrible. How belittling is that? But when we see people that actually have a couple of hours and they spend intentionally with their child, mum or dad, it's really, really inspiring. These are people that have often, been workaholics or for whatever reason been removed from their parenting process. And when they're intentional about spending even 2 hours with their child, it's just totally inspiring in terms of the outcome and the benefit to everybody. So I think, so that would be my top tip, was actually being intentional. The second one, it's quite broad. I talk about being the best version of yourself. So, and that is, and it goes back to what I said before about you taking charge of yourself. So, doing those little things, when you've got a bit more time on your hands, taking care of your health, making sure that you're eating well, you're sleeping well, all of those simple things. I'm all about the morning routine. If you've got the ability to be able to get up early, do stuff, win the morning, win the day kind of thing, and a couple with that, my big passion is around, I have a firm belief that everybody should be doing some sort of resistance training. So that's probably a little bit left field, but you don't have to go to the gym to do that, but you could be doing some sort of resistance training, whether you're 8 or whether you're 88. So I think that's really, really important as well in terms of your being the best version of yourself. And number 3 would be, I talk about community of support. So everybody needs support. I think often in these situations we try to do these things by ourselves and we lose sight of the fact that we can't. So actually reaching out for help. And people will often say to me, I don't have anybody. Well, that's why you come to people like me that'll help you form that community of support, whether it be family or whether it be agency or whatever it might be. But, you need to make sure that you've got those people. And it's not just when you're going through this process, it's once you're beyond the process, that's when you really need that support. So
awesome.
That would be number 3. So, yeah, and I'd love for people to reach out to us. As I said, 0800 KND 123 is the phone number, 0800 KND 123, or you just search up Kidz Need Dadz in Google. So don't forget that Kids with a Z.
Yeah, nice.
And Dadz with a Z. So, yeah, and you'll find us and, by all means connect.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Craig.
Pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us today.
We hope you've learned that while parenting is challenging sometimes, that's totally normal. It's been fun having you with us. Keep being amazing.
Bye!